Hi, and in this video I'm actually going to be using a TX-NR717 and I'm going to be showing you how to hook up and use a Mede8er video streamer. In this particular case it's a 400X2, but it's the same principle across their whole range. One of the first things you'll notice is the size of it. It really is small, but don't let that fool you into thinking that it's not very good. In fact, this is a very powerful little device. But first up, let's run through what's on the back of the unit. So let's see how we're going to connect it. We've got the power right in the corner, and then we've got a composite video with stereo left and right. We've also got a component output. Then that's followed up with an HDMI connection, a networking connection, USB plug, and an optical out. And then also on the side we have another USB connection and an SD card reader. So now we go to the fun part of hooking everything up. We're connecting the Mede8er to the TX-NR717. For today we're only really going to be concentrating on the HDMI connection. This will allow us to send the high definition sound and picture to the 717, and we're going to connect it up to the STB DVR, and then we're going to output that signal on the main output off to the master display. So with the display connected from the 717, the most important thing we need to add to the Mede8er is the power. Now that's done, we can concentrate on getting the picture and the sound to the 717. So we can use an HDMI lead from the Mede8er, and then we're going to connect that into the STB DVR connection on the back of the 717, which is HDMI 3. And that's it. To actually get high definition picture and sound from a Mede8er media streamer, that's all the connections you need to go from the Mede8er to the 717. But that's only half the story. The other half of the story is content. Now with the Mede8er you can connect via a network, and also you can directly plug in USB devices or SD cards for playback. Now the hard work's done, we're just going to run over a couple of other bits. We've got our power connected, our HDMI for the picture and sound. We've also got a network connection that will allow us to stream stuff over a network, and then we've got a USB cable connecting to a small portable drive. And that's it, we're all done. The next part is to actually go and set the unit up in the menus. When you first power the unit up, it's going to ask you for a couple of things: the menu language, the time, where you are, and setting up the wired network. Now here I'm choosing DHCP, automatic, I'm letting my router do all the work, and I'm just saving the settings. Test the connection, and that's it. We can now move on to the next stage, which is the main setup. Now the main setup of the Mede8er is on the far right hand side, which is the large toothed cog, and that's where we need to go to make all of the audio and video settings and adjustments. The first thing you're going to want to do in the setup menu is two adjustments in the system. The first one will be the scan storage. It will be set to off as default. You want to switch that on, and what that means is as you turn the machine on, it will automatically scan the drives which are connected to it. And then the second thing is actually to set the resume play to on, and this is exactly what it says on the tin. If you stop a movie at any point through, you can actually go back and resume playing as long as you don't actually start playing another one. Now we need to move across to the audio tab. Now this is quite a biggie because the really important stuff is all wrong. So the first thing we need to do is go into the HDMI output. It's currently set down to a 2-channel down mix. We need to move it up to HDMI pass through. Now this will allow any of the HD audio codecs to pass through the HDMI to the NR717. Now if you're using the optical output, you need to change this to pass through as well. If you're only using the HDMI, you don't need to worry about it at all. And then last but not least, the surround sound format that it's going to output as a default. Now obviously in this day and age this is really important, so you need to make sure that True HD is selected. If you only select AC3, then you're only going to get a 5.1 standard core mix. If you select don't care, you're only going to get stereo. Next up are the video settings. Now this is pretty much already done for you. You've got a couple of extra options of 1080p 24Hz if you want to turn that on. The TV system I would leave to HDMI automatic, but if you want to, you can actually go through and change some of the settings to change the resolution to match your native rate of your panel. Another good option that the Mede8er people give you is a screen size option. Now what this enables you to do is actually to adjust the image height and width so it fits your screen perfectly. Sometimes you might need this, other times you might not. It's a single one-off setting, so once it's done, there's no need to go back to it. Another nice feature that the Mede8er has is you can actually set it to be seen as a NAS drive, as would be seen across a network. This enables you to have drives connected to one machine and you actually have other machines across the house. Let me show you. I've created this sort of simulation of 4 rooms. The lounge and the playing room have got Onkyo AVRs, and the kitchen and the bedroom have got Onkyo HTX systems, but they all have media players by Mede8er. Now only the player in the lounge has a hard drive connected. By turning the NAS mode on in that particular player, what you can actually do is have access from all of the other players will actually be able to look at the lounge machine and play back music and movies from there. Now we've set the Mede8er up, we just need to pop into the TX-NR717 and set the AVR amp up. Now setting up the 717 with the Mede8er is really simple. Because we've plugged it into a pre-assigned and pre-labeled input, all we need to do, go to the setup and just adjust some settings which are specific to that particular input. So we move down to source setup and press enter. Now the IntelliVolume option is there for differences in volume in different sources. And what I recommend to do is you find your quietest source and bring down all of the other sources to that volume. You can increase them, but be very, very careful. Even if you increase them too much, you can actually cause the Onkyo amplifier to shut down as a protection system because you're overloading the input section. So as a rule of thumb, find your quietest source and bring down all of the other sources to match that. So when you switch between sources, you don't get jumps in volume. Now the AV sync is also commonly known as the lip sync control. And what it enables you to do is actually match up the audio to the video. So in the bottom right hand corner, you can see it says see picture. So you press the enter button and you'll actually be able to see the picture, and you could delay the audio until it matches up correctly. Now I've covered the name edit in previous videos, so I won't spend too much time on this. Basically, you can rename the label input that displays on the front display and on screen. Now the picture adjust setting allows you to make modifications to the image on this specific input only, and it doesn't affect any of the other inputs, and it allows for a degree of video calibration so you can get it closer to what the artist intended you to see. Then the final option we have in the source setup is the audio selector. Now in this particular case we don't need to make any changes because we're taking the audio from the HDMI, but if you were running an optical from the Mede8er into the AV amp, then you would select optical here, or for another particular source, if you were using other than the HDMI connection, this is where you would make the change. And now we've finished setting up the 717. So now we can get on with watching some content. So here I am in my favourites column inside the Mede8er, and I'm going to select the Dolby Showcase movie that we've got. So it's a simple case of using the navigation buttons on the remote Mede8er, select the folder you want, press enter, and then you'll be shown the content inside the folder. Now in this particular case it's an ISO file. For a list of all the supported codecs, audio and video, I recommend you go to the Mede8er website as is on screen. But for now, I'm going to press play and we can sit down and actually enjoy the Dolby Showcase. I've actually brought up on screen the information bar from the Mede8er. You can see it's playing a Dolby True HD soundtrack and it was 1080p. And the 717 is also seeing a Dolby True HD soundtrack. In this particular case it's 7.1. It will also play back the DTS master audio tracks in exactly the same way. I hope you enjoyed watching this video and I hope it's been informative for you. Take care and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.